I think most people know, I'm Diane Sayre, and I direct the Schiller Institute Community Choir, and we are hosting this event, and it's sort of our debut as our choir has grown. It began last December in the wake of the Eric Garner ruling, where it was clear that there were people who wanted to rip the city apart and to pit people against each other in a violent and enraged fashion, which would have served no purpose, and the family of Eric Garner did not want that, and the police commissioner did not want that. And what we did was a sing-along performance of Handel's Messiah, which was pretty wild and fun. John Segerson, who is here with us, came up to direct that, and some of the people who came and participated asked whether we have a choir in New Jersey, but they said, why don't you start a community chorus in New York? So last December we began a community chorus, and as people know who've been with us since then, the rehearsals have had anywhere from, the early days were anywhere from 6 to 12 to 15 people. Now they're anywhere from 30 to 40 people. And Lyndon LaRouche, whose wife founded the Schiller Institute, has proposed we actually think of organizing a choral process of 1,500, of which 100, 150 or something will end up being in a very highly qualified chorus. And what we're going to have is a force to uplift the culture of the entire city. And it's very urgent that we do that because the United States really finds itself in a horrible dark age. If you're looking at the presidential campaigns, if you're looking at what people consider politics and leadership, it's all on a very low and degraded level. And the only way we're going to really change that is by organizing a renaissance where we remind ourselves what it means to be a human being, that we are not animals, we are human, and we are capable of being creative, and we are capable of producing things of great beauty that can inspire other human beings. So tonight's program will be opened with our chorus, just singing the first chorale of the Jesu, meine, Freude. I would like to mention a couple things while I'm here. First of all, this wonderful harpsichord that you see behind me is being featured tonight. This was a gift from Martin Francis to, where is Lynn Yen? Lynn, the Foundation for the Revival of Classical Culture. And Lynn is a great collaborator of ours and is fighting also, some of you may have been at the concert at Carnegie Hall, to teach young people classical music, because young people, classical music has been taken out of the public schools. And she is currently running a very important, very advanced summer program for, and some of her students are here. Students of Lin Yen, please stand up. So at any rate, I really want to thank Martin Francis, and I want to thank Cheryl Berard, who is our harpsichordist and who has taken care of this instrument for us. And I want to thank John Segerson, who's been doing fantastic work with us, and you'll hear more from him later. So now I would like the chorus to please come up. And you can see it's more than 12 people now.
introductory suite in G major. The first movement is an allemande, and these pieces weren't meant to be danced to. They have dance characteristics, so they take on sort of the feel of actual dances that people dance to, but these were not. So I'm playing an allemande, which is a moderate dance in 4, and then I'm playing a lour, which is a more uncommon dance. It was named after the sound of a bagpipe type of instrument from France, and it's a slow, ceremonious dance.
Voi Che Sapete, which is in your translation and from Thank you for clearing that up.
Tu Die Sonne dünkt mich hier so kalt, die Blüte welkt, das Leben alt, und was sie reden, leere Schall. Ich bin ein Fremdling überall. Wo bist du, mein geliebtes Land, gesucht, geahnt und nie gekannt? Das Land, so hoffnungsgrün, das Land, wo meine Rosen blühen, wo meine Freunde wandern gehen, wo meine Tote auferstehen, das Land, das meine Sprache spricht. O Land, wo bist du? Ich wandle still, bin wenig froh. Und immer fragt der Seufzer wo, immer wo. Im Geisterhauch tönt mir zurück. Dort, wo du nicht bist, dort ist das Glück.
I'll do without a Tellest. I'm doing Odell the Tellest Tidings design from Handel's Messiah. This is my first time singing it since I was 12, so I had a much different voice then.
We're going to improvise the violin line. We forgot our violin. Unless someone brought a violin? No?
Forse
Mais im Grase säuseln, Wellen rauschen und Nachtigallen fläten. Wellen rauschen und Nachtigallen fläten. Abendlichtchen im zarten Laub flüstern, Silberglöckchen des Mais im Grase säuseln, Wellen rauschen und Nachtigallen flöten und Nachtigallen flöten. O Wunder, blüht auf meinem Grabe. O Wunder, blüht auf meinem Grabe. Eine Blume der Asche meines Herzens, der Asche meines Herzens, deutlich schimmert auf jedem Purpurblättchen, auf jedem Purpurblättchen. Adelaide, Adelaide, einst, o Wunder, einst, o Wunder, et blüht auf meinem Grabe eine Blume der Asche meines Herzens, der Asche meines Herzens. Deutlich schimmert auf jedem Purpurblättchen, auf jedem Purpurblättchen. Auf jedem Purpurblättchen, Adelaide,
say a few words about the songs that I'm just about to perform with Margaret. One might think that in the days of Beethoven and Schubert, this is the early part of the 19th century, that there was a wonderful renaissance and things were really moving along and things were great. But let me tell you, outside of the fact that there was that we didn't have the threat of nuclear war then, things were really bad for civilization at that time. It was a really tough time. And all the people that now you put on pedestals, Schubert, Schumann, Beethoven, Brahms, and so forth, these people had to fight their guts out in order to save civilization. I just wanted to give you a sense, and I think these poems that I picked for the Schumann Opus 24, which were some of the first songs that he composed, He composed many piano pieces, but then after he got married to Clara Wieck, he was so excited that he had to burst into song, and so he did these things. But just a little bit of a history lesson, just to think about this. Napoleon was defeated around 1814, 1815, and so forth. And after a process which could only be described in France as a color revolution, that is the French Revolution, which was a typical color revolution. It was not an American type revolution. It was a total disaster. It ended up with butchery and mayhem, and then it ended up with empire, which is what Napoleon represented. So that thing got out of the way around 1814, 1815, and at that point, people thought, and there was a big war. Germany fought a war. The Russians kicked Napoleon out, and everybody thought, oh, well, maybe finally we're going to have something better. And you had this Congress called the Congress of Vienna. It happened. So the Congress of Vienna was an utter disaster. Unlike what people had hoped, it turned out that everybody wanted to go back to the old days of empire. And it was just a redistribution of everything. And the old kings were brought back. There was a total disappointment throughout the population. And rage, because as opposed to doing something like the American Revolution, there was just the old days. As a matter of fact, people wanted to go back not just to the old days of the previous century, they wanted to go back all the way up to the old days of the Middle Ages. That's what a lot of the so-called romantic movement was about. Let's go back to the old days. Let's keep things back. Let's be practical. That was the idea, be practical. And so you had at the same time, as you might have expected, the kind of radicalized youth at that point who were looking for something, just like the youth in the Middle East today are looking for something. They went crazy. And you had the development of what you might call neo-Nazi, at that point, neo-Nazi type operations, which especially in Germany. And just to give you an idea of what happened, by the Congress of Vienna ended in 1815. By 1817, you had a bunch of students who went up to this castle. It's right near the town where Bach was born, Eisenach. It's called the Wartburg. It's this big castle up on the hill. And they went up there to do what? To burn books. They did the first book burning. And the book burnings that Hitler did in the 1930s were just, I mean, he had a perfect precedent for this kind of thing because that's what gone. What were the books that were burned? Let's take a look at that. Well, one was the letters of a fellow who you've probably not heard of, Friedrich von Collin. Friedrich von Collin was a friend of Beethoven. And Beethoven set the overtures to a number of translations of Shakespeare, like for Coriolanus, for instance, the Coriolanus overture of Beethoven. That was to a play that Friedrich von Collin adapted from Shakespeare. So, friend of Beethoven. August von Kotzebue. Who's Kotzebue? Another friend of Beethoven, right? Close friend of Beethoven. Beethoven worked with, he was one of the most famous playwrights of that period. And the book that was burned was Kotzebue's History of Germany. Karl Immermann. Okay, here was an attack. This was a book which was an attack against, he was a poet. This is a book that was an attack against these radical groups. They were called the Burschenschaften at that point. They were, so to speak, patriotic, but they were totally crazy. They were basically beginnings of terrorist operations. So they did that. And Karl Immermann later became a close friend of Heinrich Heine, who was the poet of the song so I'm just about to sing. They were close friends. So this is the kind of books that were burned. They were going against the entire American Revolution period. Well, guess what? That was 1817. 1819, Kotzebue was assassinated by a radical student, a crazy radical student. What happened? Well, what do you expect? What happened is there was a big conference of all Germany and Austria And they put down these decrees called the Carlsbad decrees, which was basically the 9/11 of that day. And these Carlsbad decrees didn't just outlaw these radicals. It said, no, we're not going to have anybody saying anything radical whatsoever. We're going to and they instituted the most incredible censorship that you can believe, where, for instance, some of the poets, there was one poet who had a Wilhelm Müller, again, who Schubert said, and he wanted to, he gave these set of poems to the censor, and the censor said, no, you can't print this. Why? Because it has the word freedom in it. Right? That was how bad it was there. So I say that because something that Lyndon LaRouche said just this afternoon struck me, because he said he was talking about genius and how genius cannot just be alone. It needs to have a resonance in society. And what you had at that point was a society where that resonance was going away. And the few people who were fighting decided that they would not be practical in order to fight. And all of this beautiful music that we're doing, that tradition is totally impractical. For instance, Heinrich Heine, his father wanted him to be a lawyer. And he actually studied law. He decided to he said, I'm going to do this, okay, fine. But that's not where he was at. Let me tell you where he was at. Let me give you a little poem. This is not one that was set, but I think it sort of sums up, for me at least, what he's talking about. I'll read it in German, and then I'll read a translation. Vergiftet sind meine Lieder. Wie könnte es anders sein? Du hast mir ja Gift gegossen ins blühende Herz hinein. Vergiftet sind meine Lieder. Wie könnte es anders sein? Ich trage im Herzen viel Schlangen und dich, geliebter mein. My songs are poisoned. How could it otherwise be? For it was you who poured poison down into my blossoming life. My songs are poisoned. How could it otherwise be? In my heart, I've got many snakes, and you, my love. Okay, now what's going on here? Hey. Well, that's exactly the point. These and Heine, these little so-called poison poems, what they are is they seem very nice, and then what Heine does is he points out that if you try to be sort of nicey nice in this kind of era, you're being practical. If you try to just do nice things, you're being practical. The only way, you've got to get under the skin of civilization, and because we had a failed revolution, and we have to go and which then put man back into a bestial state, and then we have to go back into that some way. And so all of his poems are, but then again, he couldn't say that openly, because if he said that openly, he'd be thrown into jail. And as a matter of fact, later on, he had to flee Germany because he couldn't, because otherwise he would be thrown into jail. And he ended up in Paris for the rest of his, starting around 1830, for the rest of his life as an exile, because Germany was too hot for him. But the idea here is that when he talks, and this is not just him, but think about this when everybody is saying this, even the Beethoven song that I just did. The beloved is not just a soap opera lady that he falls in love with. And I think people will think about Beethoven's immortal beloved and so forth. You have to really get out of your idea that somehow these great artists were in the middle of a soap opera, sort of like the Amadeus movie or something. That's not the way these geniuses thought. The idea of their love was true humanity and a true purpose for civilization. And the idea that every single human being has a creative soul, and that you need a society which fosters that creativity. And so therefore, the abandonment, the sense of abandonment by being jilted by one's love, has nothing to do with some girl. It has to do with the question of whether society has abandoned me. And what am I going to do? And I think people have to think about that today, about, I mean, when we talk about a Renaissance, it almost seems impossible, given the bestiality and the banality that is rife in the population, with a president who classical music, I mean, I don't think Obama knows what it is. I mean, forget it. So that's what these, to me, I know these songs are as political as you can get. And not just the ones that I'm doing, but every single great song. It also reminds me of something that a great friend of Lyndon LaRouche said at a comment that he once made. This was Norbert Breinin, who was the first violinist of the famous Amadeus String Quartet, which is one of the greatest probably the greatest string quartet in the 20th century, which played for 40 years. And Norbert Breinin became a very close friend of Lyndon LaRouche and played for him, worked with him, played for him, and discussed music with him. And also when Mr. LaRouche was thrown into prison unjustly by Bush, he played benefits for him in many cities in Europe and also here in the US. But one point that he made is he said, I'm beginning to, after a concert, he said, I'm beginning to realize that every time I lift my bow, it's a political act. That's from the greatest violinist who probably of the 20th century. So with all that, now I've talked much too much. No, let's go. No, I think the songs pretty much explain themselves. Yeah, they're there. Yeah, they're there. They're there. But think about this as you're looking them over. Again, they're mostly all about this question of abandonment. But think about that from the standpoint. Do you love society enough to feel abandoned by it? When it goes bad.
Schöne Liege meine Leiden, schönes Grab mal meine Ruh, schöne Stadt, die im Wissen scheiden, lieber wohl ruf ich dir zu, lieber wohl, du heilge Stelle, wo da wandert lieb getraut, lieber wohl, du heilge Stelle, wo ich sie zuerst geschaut, lieber wohl, hätt ich dich doch nie gesehen, schöne Herzenskönigin, nimmer, nimmer wär es doch geschehen, dass ich jetzt so elend bin. Nie wollt ich dein Herz errühren, lieber hab ich nie erfleht, nur ein stilles Leben führen, wollt ich, wo dein Odem weht, wo dein Odem weht, doch du drängst mich selbst von hinnen, bittere Worte spricht dein Mund. Wahnsinn wüt in meinen Sinn und mein Herz ist krank und wund. Und die Glieder matt und träge schlepp ich vor der Schiffmann. Gleich folge ich zum Hafentier. Gleich von zwei Jungfrauen nehm ich Abschied, von Europa und von ihr. Blut verrinnt aus meinen Augen, Blut verbricht aus meinem Leib, dass ich mit dem heißen Blute meine Schmerzen niederschreib. Ei, mein Lieb, warum just heute, ja, dass dich mein Blut zu sehen, sahst mich bleich und Herzenbluten, lange Jahre vor dir stehen. Oh, kennst du noch das alte Liedchen von der Schlange im Paradies, die durch schlimme Aufgabe unseren Ahn ins Elend stieß? Alles Unheil brach den Äpfel, Eva brach damit den Tod, ihres brachte treues Flammen, du brachst beides, Flamme und Tod. doch aufs Neue die alte Glut sie belebt, wenn der liebe Geist einst über sie schwebt. Und es wird mir im Herzen viel Ahnung laut, der liebe Geist einst über sie schaut. Einst kommt dies Buch in deiner Hand, du süßes Lieb im fernen Land. Dann löst sich des Liedes Zauberband, die blassen Buchstaben schauen dich an, sie schauen dir flehend in schöner Aug und flüstern mit Wehmut und Liebeshauch.
look on with someone, pull out your Bob Piangero. And if you don't have the music, you have it in the translation. So if you're